Welcome back to another episode of Rock Boys Football. The Ohio State Buckeyes pick up another nice commitment on the 2024 trail in four-star cornerback Miles Lockhart from the state of Arizona. I do see the position at running back. He will be playing cornerback at the next level. And this is a really nice get for Tim Walton and kind of a perfect fit for that Jim Knowles defense. Miles Lockhart at 5'10", runs an 11,300 meter. Well, I think he could play boundary, but when you dig into the film, he's probably best at that nickel role, and that's a really important role at the Ohio State level. And for some reason, like according to 24/7 Sports and On3, the guys who kind of have that nickel corner asterisk on them, they get pushed down the rankings a little bit. I'm moving away from that. Like, you take a look at the importance of a nickel cornerback, a good nickel cornerback at the college football level with almost everybody kind of running nickel. I think it's really important. This is a really nice get. And you take a look at what this secondary could look like for Ohio State. You're starting to feel really good about it. We're going to talk a little Miles Lockhart, dig into the film a little bit, and then take a look at what this Ohio State class is coming along as. We've talked when they landed Justin Scott that can this be the number one class in the country watch kind of began. So we'll talk about how that's coming, update you guys on some of the recruits. And then I have an interesting name that could be an addition to the Ohio State class in 2024 that really is not getting talked enough about. Before we get into it, though, again, just want to say thank you to you guys, and especially the Ohio State fans. They've been hot on the trail as of late. We've been covering a lot of the commitments, and you guys have been absolutely awesome. So if you do enjoy the updates, you enjoy the content, you like talking recruiting, consider subscribing to the channel. Again, really can't thank you guys enough. I love talking recruiting. I don't get a chance to talk about it a lot. So having you guys kind of be so knowledgeable in the comment section, enjoy talking the recruiting, I really appreciate it. It's a blast for me. So appreciate you guys rocking with the boys. Let's get into Miles Lockhart. So again, doesn't necessarily have the prototypical frame of kind of an elite boundary corner. And I'm not saying he can't do it. You look at the high school film, primarily played in the boundary and was really good. Now, 11,300 meter, which is crazy that we're talking about. Is that fast enough to play in the boundary? It certainly is. But when you combine like maybe not elite top end speed with maybe only a 5'10" frame, maybe that's just not where he's a best fit. Like when you watch Miles Lockhart, where he excels is those short and intermediate routes, breaking on the football in a meaningful way, and that short area quickness. And so at the end of the day, it's when you say he might be playing kind of that nickel role, that's not I don't mean to say that like he's not a good cornerback or he can't play the boundary. I'm just saying that that's where I kind of see him as a best fit. And again, going back to the Jim Knowles defense, that is a vastly important role in this Jim Knowles defense. And you take a look, and we'll get into it more, what this secondary group could look like for Ohio State. You already got Bryce West committed. Aaron Scott's committing at the end of the month. And everything it sounds like Ohio State's probably in the lead for that one. You add Miles Lockhart, and then potentially KJ Bolden in the beginning of August. You're talking about three elite cornerbacks with the number one safety in the whole entire country, who if they can get KJ Bolden into the fold, you talk about perfect fit in the Jim Knowles defense. And KJ Bolden would be a perfect fit in any defense, but especially in that Jim Knowles defense where you like to move your guys around in the secondary, kind of use them as chess pieces. KJ Bolden would be a massive fit. Now, I want to get into the Miles Lockhart film, who, again, you take a look, 4 interceptions, 65 tackles, 20 pass breakups. This guy, really, really good at breaking on the football. Like those short and immediate change of directions, like that's where he excels. That's kind of why I like him in the nickel. And 65 tackles. Like he's good around the football. He's good in the box. He's a physical guy, which, again, is a really important attribute when we're talking about nickel guys. Getting into the film, you guys will kind of see it. What I like the most is he shows that, like, if you need him to play on the boundary, like I don't have a question about him being able to play on the boundary at a high level. Does a really nice job of keeping his eyes on the quarterback, following the receiver, and then going up and playing the football. Good ball skills. He has pretty solid top end speed. A lot to like, but I like him most is when he's around the line of scrimmage. He's kind of playing a little bit of that rover, seeing him follow the ball, and then finding a play, making a play on the football. That's where I think he excels the most. Again, he's a guy. This is kind of what I mean the most is like the ability to break on this football. He just seems so comfortable playing these short and intermediate routes, and so that's when you talk about where's he going to fit in at the next level, I think it's going to be a nickel just because that's where I think he excels the most. And you're going to see him on a couple of these reps really get in and be physical as a tackler as well, which really important. If you're going to play nickel, you're going to play around the line of scrimmage. You got to be able to tackle. You got to be able to be physical in the box. And Miles Lockhart certainly has that capability in it. Again, short intermediate route, breaks on the football, makes a play on it, interception going the other way. So I like his game a lot. I think this is a sneaky good get, and I think you're getting a player that might not be as highly evaluated by some of the 20. Here we go again, working downhill. That's important for a nickel corner. What I want to talk about is you see the maybe not an elite 4-star grade on him, according to 24/7 Sports, according to some of the other recruiting services. And again, we're talking about a top 400 national dude, a bona fide 4-star, which is wild. I believe he's playing Dylan Raiola right here in the state of Arizona, which is wild that we're talking about maybe not being an elite guy, but that's how Ohio State's recruited. Like, this will be one of the lowest ranked guys that they have. But I think he's kind of more of a complete guy than we're giving him credit for. Now, taking a look at this class, and this is where it gets fun for Ohio State. This is not their class. Taking a look at the class. Top 2 class in the country, 18 commitments, and you got 4 5-star guys. 3 of them on the offensive side of the ball, 1 of them on the defense side of the ball, and it seems like more are coming, and we'll talk about those guys first, or in a second. You have Bryce West, specifically looking at this cornerback room. You got Bryce West in the fold. You add Miles Lockhart, and you have a really nice Jalen McClain from the state of New Jersey, who I think is another nice safety and a good fit in Jim Mills' scheme. Secondary's coming along, and you kind of check all the boxes. You got your quarterback of the future. The offensive playmakers, no questions about that. On the defensive side of the ball, you got 2 of my favorite linebackers in the class, especially being Peyton Pierce. Secondary starting to build out. That defensive line and offensive line is probably where Ohio State needs to kind of address still. And let's talk about the defensive line first and what this could be. Because, again, the defensive line, you add Justin Scott, arguably the best defensive lineman in the class. And then you're in it for a bunch of other guys, specifically Dylan Stewart and Edric Houston. And getting both of them would be massive. It sounds like both are trending to Ohio State. Dylan Stewart, one of the best pure edge rushers in the class. And then Edric Houston would be a massive guy in terms of he has a massive wingspan. He's already 260 pounds, can play all along the defensive line. We're just going to say it. If Ohio State lands KJ Bolden, Dylan Stewart, and Edric Houston, and it sounds like they'll land at least 2 of them, like, this is a really special class, especially on the defensive side of the ball, too. You have a 5-star quarterback. You have 2 5-star wide receivers. And then you potentially could have 3 5-star guys on the defensive line. It's getting scary. And we've had this conversation with Ohio State, and we're talking about where is this elite tackle, right? And you have the Armstrong brothers. You have more. Like, it's a solid offensive line class. I'm saying now, like, hey, if you're Ohio State, you're saying we got one of the best classes in 2024. Can we find an elite tackle to kind of pair along? And that's kind of the missing puzzle piece, if you will, in terms of this 2024 class. And there's 2 guys I'm looking at. One guy we've talked about a lot in Gerby Lambert. And by the way, Xavier Brown committing this weekend. Sounds like he's going to Alabama, but if you get him, like, that's just gravy on top. I don't think you need him. Gerby Lambert, top 550 national offensive tackle from the state of Massachusetts, Boston College, Notre Dame. He's taking a visit to Ohio State. It sounds like Notre Dame's in the lead, but Notre Dame's been in the lead for a while, but it's kind of getting like kind of that stale recruitment. And so maybe Ohio State can get him on campus in the fall and get him in the fold. You'd absolutely love that. And then a guy we haven't talked about because he didn't take an official visit to Ohio State, but he's been on campus twice already. Jordan Seaton, one of the best interior offensive linemen in the class. He certainly can play tackle at 6'5", 287. He plays tackle at IMG Academy. He's a guy that you check on 3. Like, On Street has him trending to Ohio State, and we haven't really talked about him much because he did not take an official visit to Ohio State. Jordan Seaton would round out this class in a big way. Like, top 100 national offensive lineman. That's that one position where they might be lacking, like, the elite talent, and that's not a knock on the Armstrong brothers at all. But it just seems like if you got like elite prospects pretty much everywhere on this football field in your 2024 class, besides maybe the offensive lineman. Now, he's from Washington, D.C., so he's from a little bit more up north. I think Ohio State is in a really good spot to get him. I would be surprised, or wouldn't be surprised, if Jordan Seaton, who is a guy that hasn't really taken many official visits during this cycle. So it's kind of hard to get a read on where he's going or what schools are he's kind of trending for. If Ohio State can work their way into this recruitment, you're looking at, again, this is not just maybe the best class in the 2024 cycle. We are looking at one of the best classes that we've ever seen in the modern recruiting era from Ohio State, which is really special. If they can add Jordan Seaton, again, Edric Houston, Dylan Stewart, KJ Bolden, the amount of top 100 national dudes they're trending for, they already have committed. And then you add how many they're trending for, and even those top guys in the top 32, the 5-stars, it's going to get really fun for Ohio State. It's going to be a fun month. Again, we're going to try to break down all the commitments for Ohio State. The Ohio State fans, you guys have been absolutely awesome rocking with the boys. So again, if you do enjoy the content, consider subscribing to the channel. We appreciate you guys, and we'll talk to y'all later. Peace.